Hello all, it's Corey from Unified Masters. So, a topic is coming up for me to share since there's been, a lot of lessons and growth through this time, and just even through that, when there's no feeling of growth, there's a lot of understanding that comes forward that gives you an opportunity to shift, to change, to rebuild your reality and to rebuild your structure. Even if it's a long undertaking, there's a big list of things that you can start to accomplish moment to moment in order to facilitate the growth and the expansion of you. And so, as a part of my learning and practice of stepping into pure presence, which this is the topic for discussion, I chose to consciously step on and to just discuss a little bit about pure presence and what it entails during the shifts, and also during what's kind of occurring right now collectively. Even though this really is an evergreen message, pure presence is something that is very necessary for the higher trajectories, and for calling forward all that we want, but also seeking peace and stillness and comfort within. So the first part of pure presence is recognizing that free of the human conditioning, that's all that you are, is pure presence. It's so easy to, in the main stage and in the way that society is shaped and formed right now, it's very, very, very easy to become easily distractible, and to step away from that pure, soft, present moment that is always available to you. That is basically the soul and the heart coming forward, which the soul, the heart, are one and the same to me. So the soul, heart, the light, the life force coming through you, and then existing, creating from this place of pure presence 24/7 is essential for our path on ascension and for the trajectories that collectively we are moving into. The biggest thing about pure presence is learning to be okay with everything within you, in your life, in your story, in your narrative, in your theme, and everything that you embody, as recognizing that in this now moment it is perfect just the way it is. Even undergoing the process of transformation, readjustment, realignment, is learning to be okay with every piece and part of you. So as a result of that, as showing that I can be okay with myself, I'm going to smoke a cigarette right now, because this is a part of me that still exists, and I have to learn to be okay with it. But a lot of it too is authentically showing up as ourselves, because it actually gives room for growth, and it gives other people an opportunity to practice their pure presence as well. So right now, as far as when we speak of spiritual conditioning or a ripe environment to practice our skills. So, I say spiritual conditioning and awakening tools, but at the end of the day, these are the tools of the new life that we are forming, and that is being birthed and created in this now moment. So as we know, the higher trajectories, 5D New Earth is already here. It's already available. What we're experiencing is the play out of the etheric grounding for all of us to individually settle into our new Earth home. But right now, as we're going through the grand stage, the main stage, clearing, transformation, unfolding, it really is perfect seeding ground to practice pure presence, to come into that stillness, and the allowance to not be swayed by what's going on externally. So what's been going on with me with practicing pure presence is that life has beautifully chosen to gift me an opportunity to function at an extremely linear state, with a lot of different moving pieces and things that I need to do, but to be able to practice pure presence through this. So obviously, as the theme and the lesson of learning, practicing pure presence came forward, with it came the opportunity to practice, you know? So it's like, learning really advanced driving skills in, you know, a very, you know, kind of quote unquote, we want to say difficult scenario, so you can be able to balance and to learn in really the right conditions. And so for me, life, as I like to live more in a quantum flow, has issued me a very linear role for a little while. And as a result, it's recognizing that there's this pure presence that I can show up in through this time to assist in the adjustments and to assist in letting go of my old ways of navigating the world and navigating life. It's stepping into the being phase, and embodying the being and doing through a form of embodying pure peace through the trials, the tests, the culmination points, the closing out of realities, the opening up of new realities. And the importance of shifting to this place of pure presence is it actually affords us an expanded view and a more expansive opportunity to create, to mold, and to shift. And so what we find is doors of opportunity to open up, or insights, downloads, guidance, to navigate in a whole new way. The importance of pure presence is we allow ourselves to open up to a state of consciousness and being that can create higher and higher trajectories and higher opportunities, and in order to shift the reality to a more cohesive one. So I've found that in the higher trajectories and in establishing myself, grounding myself into the organic timelines, a lot of me being in a gestation period right now is not wanting to, rephrase that. It's having to learn to be okay with time again and the passage of time. So yes, we are depending on the realm of consciousness where you're living, and you're residing, where your physical body is residing, we're finding an increase in materialization quicker, but also we're finding a quicker form of dematerialization of the reality too, or what we could call a collapse of the reality. But for some undertakings and some orchestration that needs to occur as we're calling forward more new, or we're embodying more freedom, is that there's a passage of time that needs to occur for some of us sometimes. So a lot of it's learning, a lot of it is learning patience, but a lot of it is allowing the right puzzle piece to come in to shape the new timeline you're stepping onto, versus just grabbing at the first thing that comes. So a lot of it is choice point and recognizing through your state of feeling and your state of intuition, choosing the right move at the right time as you are cycling through and accelerating through a big growth or a big expansion. Because what can occur through the point of creation is that something might come your way, and if you say yes to it, it can actually, sometimes you can be accepted into a lower timeline than the course that you're going. So especially when we're in this rapid period of acceleration and we're burning through a lot of programming and we're burning through and clearing a lot of timelines, a lot of it is that if we're calling something forward, you could get 5 or 6 offers or 5 or 6 opportunities, but it really is about aligning to that highest everything for us, so we have a more cohesive reality. And so as a result of that, it's sometimes having to practice pure patience and pure peace with knowing that your universe within is handling the orchestration and the scenario, and to make sure that you are choosing the one that is a vibrational match to you and not just going with the first thing that's offered to you. So this passage of time, for me at least, I'm going to say me here because this is my lesson and growth in it, is that with the passage of time comes the uncomfortability of having to sit and to become pure present. Or with the passage of time also is having a lot of linear work that needs to show up, a lot of point A, point B, list making, list building, more structure that needs to occur. And a lot of this is that, especially as we are stepping into the unified field, into quantum states and accessing realms outside of time and space, is learning how to navigate, remembering how to navigate through the process of our quantum technology, our multidimensional technology, but how to navigate linearly from a quantum state. Because actually, when we have a lot of linear things to accomplish, but we're accessing them from a quantum state, we're actually assisting others in being able to elevate and holding the groundwork and the framework for new earth building and new earth societies. Because especially as we are, practicing or remembering how to access the quantum states and to live quantum moment to moment, we still have many in society as a culmination of the collective, and also a lot of the systems that were built linearly and are still operating in a very linear format. So when I speak of linear format, it's really locked into time. 9 to 5, have to be somewhere at a certain time, rather than being in flow. We look at rush hour, when's everyone getting off of work, when's the DMV open. We're looking at time frame here. And so a lot of accessing the quantum realities that are still, so while we have a lot of linear work to do and a lot of linear things to uphold, but we're still accessing quantum states, the way we do that is through pure presence. Okay. So in the state of pure presence, it's really accessing that freedom, that bliss, that joy, that peace from within, and then holding that state of consciousness in our body through every moment of the day and every choice point. With that, we begin to align ourselves to a reality that embodies more and upholds more pure presence, that upholds more bliss, that upholds more freedom, and upholds more deeper compassion for self and for others. And we're going to find a more cohesive reality. But a lot of this now is allowing the mind and the human conditioning to fall away through the process of opening the heart, allowing the soul to step through, and beginning to remember again what it is to live in pure bliss 24/7. And at first, especially for those of us that have lived in a struggle narrative for a majority of our life, it seems almost unattainable for us, because, for those of us that have had to go through some workings in our life and had to go through some things, pure presence and pure bliss, we feel like we've accessed it before, but a lot of it was in an artificial state where we were, and I'm going to use me here, we're feeding off of inorganic imaginings to assist in feeling bliss states of consciousness. But when you begin to access true bliss states of consciousness, there's no rush. It's not lustful, or it's not addictive. Pure bliss is actually just the state of pure bliss, or pure peace and softness within. And it's very calming and soothing and comforting. It's like a warm blanket. Versus, when I think of bliss states of consciousness, sometimes I think of like someone drinking a bunch of red wine, or like taking some sort of narcotic. Well, I recognize that my framework over the word bliss was actually completely skewed, and so I had to relearn what does it mean to be in bliss. And for bliss states of consciousness, it was remembering serenity again. It's remembering that place of pure peace that exists within, through the heart opening and through that expanded state in which anything can happen and I would be okay. And actually what begins to happen is our external reality shifts and begins to be recoded based upon that place of that love and that bliss and that softness within. So when we hold that frequency and we access that coding within of the bliss states of consciousness, or the pure presence, or the pure love, what we do is our reality, our external, begins to shift. So a lot of this will assist in a crumbling process. or a dematerialization of the reality, and it will shift into one that is more cohesive. So a lot of this, though, is learning to be okay with where we are in this now moment. So yes, there's always room for growth. There's always room for dissolution. There's always room to shift. But at the end of the day, the biggest piece of pure presence is radical acceptance over who you are and where you're at this point in time. Because in the radical acceptance, what you do is you get to sit for a moment or a lifetime, depending on how you define that moment and how it feels to you, to be able to sit with all that you are. When you can sit with all that you are, you begin to resort or reorganize and to kind of flip through the review, or what many would call the judgment phase. So in the review, what we end up doing is we end up just viewing from a very neutral point and from a very witnessed and observant perspective all that we are, all that we came to be, and all that is available to us in this now, and all that we're ready to let go of. It's a review of your entire life, and in that moment you can begin to start to build an awareness of what needs to shift in order for you to land in a more cohesive reality. So in this, many could say it's a meditative state. Many can say that it's a time to sit in kind of silent reflection. But this doesn't mean that you have to close your eyes and sit and om. It's just simply becoming aware, again, of all that you are, at a human-based perspective and at a soul-based perspective as well. So in the human-based perspective, we get an opportunity to be able to view the programming and be able to view what is ready to unravel in our field and what we're ready to let go of, or what we need to go through a little bit more to keep moving forward. But we also get a choice point to view the higher and the highest within, the universe within, and be able to see all that we can usher in through practicing pure presence, and then holding that frequency 24/7, holding that frequency every moment, every now moment, in order to accelerate us into those higher dimensions, the higher timelines, and the higher realities that we want. We really do. But a lot of it is that we don't arrive and land. It's something we access within, and then it comes forward from within. So a lot of this is activating those higher light encodements. It's keeping our heart open. When we get pulled from our pure bliss and our pure presence, we come back to that space, place, and time. We make sure we hold that, and when we get swayed, we redirect back to the center point, and we come back to all that we are. So funny. So coming back to this place of pure presence, the universe just afforded me an opportunity to practice this, to actually round up and to finish off what I was saying. So coming back to this place of pure presence and pure bliss. So for me, for example, the learning lesson in this, because I love to give tangible examples of what has occurred. When it comes to videos, I don't like splicing together clips and blending them together. I don't have proper video editing software, and frankly, it's something I like to be polished and kind of more, not polished, but I like to do everything in one take. A lot of that comes from my musician background of recording. And this is where I wanted to come to with this place of acceptance, okay? So, for instance, I was talking about being okay with who you are, being raw, being vulnerable, and recognizing, being okay that you are perfect in this perfect moment right now. So for me, in a part of my way showing early on, and a part of who I was I had some things that I could expose openly about myself to let others know that it's okay to be raw, to be vulnerable, and to have, human things that were going on. With Japanese pottery, I think it's Japanese pottery, there's some ancient pottery that when there was a crack in the bowl, they lined it with gold to create this beautiful piece. And there's these really beautiful, broken, fractured pottery from Japan that's lined with gold, and it is absolutely exquisite when you see it, and what these masters did with using alchemy to create this beautiful piece over what they have available to them. And a lot of that too in this is, you know, showing things like smoking a cigarette and making a cup of coffee. Okay, like I have a cup of coffee here and a cigarette. It's to remind you that even masters, some of them still have human things that occur. When you were broken and you were torn and you were traumatized or really dysfunctional or narcissistic or abusive or being abused, you were still a master. When you had no idea which direction your life was going, when you had no course of action on how you were going to make it out of your situation alive, you were a master. When you came into this world and took your first breath, you were a master. And right now, you are a master. So for me, a lot of this is recognizing, being okay with, okay, so there's nothing inherently wrong with tobacco in a sacred sense. But for me, and in the state and ways that I use it for an addictive property right now, and I'm okay with that. I recognize that there's going to be a time in my life where I'm going to have to give this up relatively soon. It's a result of programming. It's a result of me running from a lot of things in my life, because addiction had fueled a big portion of my life, which is actually that escape mechanism has landed me in moments where I can't practice pure presence and pure bliss. But a part of being okay with the perfect place and state that I am as the individuation of source and in my own individual expression is recognizing that I'm a master, even through the quote-unquote flaws and the quote-unquote programming. There's still this master that's within that comes forward and steps forward and shows up every single day, even when it feels flawed, even when it feels off balance, even when it starts to distort because of the result of the programming or the conditioning or whatever my reality is bringing forward to me. There's always this master that exists within, and I recognize that through those moments of vulnerability and those moments of distortion, I'm clearing the path for that master to come through. It's always existed within. It's just in the process of remembering that it's still here and it's always available. That universe within is still here. It's always been here. It was just dimmed from human conditioning and from the veil of forgetfulness. So in that, I invite you to be okay with your flaws and to know that there's a master that exists within all of us, and it's being birthed through us right now, through this passage of time, through this process. A lot of this is awakening and remembering the master within so we can own and harness our mastery. But the only way that we can begin to shift and allow that master to come through is through pure presence and pure awareness over what we have, what we need to let go of, and what we need to allow to shine through more. Your light is important. Your light is needed right now. Your individuation is needed. It's the process of integration and expansion in the universe that provides us the opportunity to grow and to evolve as a species and to become our true nature again. It's for our true seeded genetics to come back online. It's to remember the mastery. It's to remember the guardianship. It's to remember all that we are and all that we came to be. But overall, as a collective and as every individual, we need to be okay with who we are in this now moment. And yes, once again, there's things to shift. There's things to change. There's things that we can begin to realign, and we can begin to let go of to land in those more cohesive realities. But with pure presence, we have to be okay in the skin again. We have to be okay with who we are and what's happened for us in this lifetime. For some, what's happened to us in this lifetime. But we have to remember that within our flaws is actually our greatest gifts. Within that crack of the pottery lies the gold lining that you, as the alchemist, can begin to turn your fractured piece into this beautiful art form that is you, the individuation. It is through your weaknesses that you find your greatest strengths. As long as you have the ability to become aware that you have the opportunity at any point in time to flip the script and to flip the narrative. But the choice is solely dependent upon us. No one can do this for us, but the universe will continually give us experiences to where we can remember again and we can flip the script. And it's through getting through those experiences to the end, as we mindfully close the door at the end, that we become aware of the lessons and the growth, and we close it out by not allowing the lesson to come forward again. And so yes, there's levels of clearing, and yes, there's choice points, and yes, there's reviews and all of those beautiful things, but I invite you to become okay again with who you are and in your flaws, your mortal wounding. And I invite you to recognize that in those things, in the process of alchemy, birth your gifts and birth your mastery. And it's important. So with that, I love you all unconditionally. It's great to be creating again. I don't know when this video will upload, but it's when I have access to Wi-Fi and I clip things together. And if you made it to this far in the video, I applaud you, because it's very challenging for many to sit through a video for 25 minutes, 26 minutes. For many of us, it's difficult to just sit in our skin comfortably for 26 minutes. So I invite you again to allow yourself to be okay being you in all of its beauty and all of its glory, to recognize your master within, and to let you know that the master within me sees the master within you and honors it, and is giving you safe passageway to come forward now and to remember all that you are and to step into that light, because it's important. You're beautiful, and we need your beauty here, now, all day, every day. Just come as you are, beautiful in all of its glory, and recognize that it's your time to shine. So much love and respect to all of you out there. And with that, I'll see you in another moment of the now.